What's up, Moto Buddies? Mike here from Taco Moto Co. Welcome to our outdoor testing lab. We're about 10 miles outside of Las Vegas, which is over here, and we are out on a road. This paved road here goes out to a desert area, and it's 5 miles straight. Gives us the opportunity to do some wide open testing, some passes. And what we're doing here is ECU testing for the all new GET ECU system. This is been co-developed by Taco Moto and GET, Athena, Italy, and we're doing some proving of the maps, firmware, of the settings on bikes in real-world conditions. And so here's what's super unique about how this gets done and how we do it, is we've developed a test rig that we mount to the bike. This is the 20 through 23 generation KTM 500. And over here, we have a 19 through 23 generation Honda X, not the XR. It's got graphics like it's an XR. It's sort of a visual throwback to the old XR days. But this is the CRF 450 LRL bike, similar to the X as well. And so both of these, we're developing the GET ECU platform for both bikes. And this one, the KTM, what we have mounted here are some test equipment. And then we are able to gather data, real-time live data, ride data and parameters from the bike, from the ECU, capture them, and then we can analyze those later and make adjustments to any of the settings on the bike, fuel, ignition, firmware, all the coding to account for different variations in temperature, humidity, altitude, throttle inputs. All of that is captured and analyzed, and then the map is updated based on those real world conditions. So we use the dyno. We use an interior controlled dyno to develop a base map, and then we finish it off, we finalize it out doing actual in the field ride testing. And so how this system works is we've got on the header an O2 sensor, and so that data then is being transmitted up to a device here called the SL1. So this is the data collection device. This little guy right here is the O2 management device. So the Lambda sensor is sending its signal into this first. This is being powered, and then that is being converted and then transmitted over to the SL1, which is essentially like a little hard drive. This thing is then plugged into the ECU. So it's plugged into the Lambda sensor and the ECU, and then it has a GPS sensor. So the GPS is giving us speed. So we have actual over-the-ground speed that we're able to record as well, and all of that data then is stored here in the SL1, and that then we can transfer over to the laptop, and then we can analyze that data, looking for any issues that we have, and we can make corrective changes, reload that, and then go test it, and the cycle continues. And so by doing this in real time, we can get that data and then modify it, and then I keep a log here of the different bikes, the different versions of the firmware, and then different exhausts. So here's another aspect of it. What we can do is we can swap out on any given bike all types of different combinations of exhausts. So this is for the KTM, so we have an Acro and the FMF, and then that's the stock can with the Promotability end cap. And for example, like with the FMF, there's a lot of different inserts that are available. So I can take different inserts, put those into an exhaust, and then go test that and see how much effect that has on it, and then make those changes. We can also swap out headers. So these are Hondas, and so we've got, like, that's X, I think that's either the RL or the X header, and then here's Power Bomb, and then this is the Graves over here, Yoshi. This is the KTM FMF header, and then over here we have a KTM full Yoshi system. So we've got all types of different combinations that we can mix and match. Like on the Honda, for example, this bike has many different versions of setup and combinations, because you can have the X header or the RL stock, and then different mufflers. Some of these systems have their own headers, and some of these systems have adapters, like the Graves and the FMF. This happens to be the X. The Graves and the FMF let you have an insert that you can swap. You can put a muffler onto one of the Honda headers. The Graves is very adaptable because it lets you do the RL and the X, whereas the FMF only lets you do the X. So, and then again, like I mentioned with the FMF, we've got all those different inserts that we can swap in and out. So we can test all of those different various combinations at any given time using also toggling between the different map modes. We've got traction control on all the bikes, and so we can test and check the influence of that as well. So every single input and parameter, data parameter, you can adjust and account for on the bikes, we can do that. Same thing over here on the KTM, different maps, and then the traction control. And also the new ECU system has an updated app, which is really crazy cool. I will show you in another video some of the features and functions of that, but it lets you do things like adjust the fan control, fan on and off temperature. You can manually test your fan. You can look at real-time data output from the ECU. And this is all made possible because the new ECU systems, these new Gen 2 RX2s, or I'm sorry, SX1s rather, these new ECUs are operating on a CAN bus protocol. So everything is essentially a 3-wire network across the bike. So the different switches, inputs, and outputs are on the 3-wire CAN bus network. And that is where the enhanced features of the app come into play. One other thing I might mention is the fact that because this system works so well and allows us to fine-tune and customize to an exact bike, when a stock map, not stock as in stock factory, but like when we set up a map for a specific bike and send that out to a customer in an ECU, that map is created like this. This is how we do it. And we're doing it on our bike. And any particular bike that we use, we make sure that it's in tip-top shape, that everything is to spec on the bike. And so it's as close to factory settings as we can possibly get it. Now, your bike is not this bike. You have a different machine with different valve adjustment, with different air filter, use a different air filter oil. Your parameters on your bike are just slightly ever so different. Your injector flow rate might be different. Your fuel pressure might be a little different. So all of those things taken into account might mean that while a tune is exactly optimized for this bike, it may not be fully accurate to your bike. There may be a couple of a percentage variation in some of those things that leave a little bit of room on the table. So if you were the kind of rider who was okay, and most are, so knowing that you've got 3, 4, 5% that you can't quite get access to because again, your bike has some variations that are a little bit unique and different. What this system allows us to do, if you wanted to take advantage of it, is we can send you, and I'll show you the equipment that we would send. So you're a GET customer, you're going to buy a GET, or you already have a GET. And what we can do is we can send you, specific to your bike, a header with a weld-on and an O2 sensor installed. So the kit would have the O2 sensor and then this little data bracket right here. And so you're going to pull your headlight off. This plugs into headlight power. How all this unit right here is getting its power is when you unplug the headlight, you plug in. We have a special connector that is the KTM headlight. We also have the Honda as well. But you plug in your GET data system into your headlight switch. You have to make sure, obviously, that your headlight is on. And then that's going to power the system. And then we'll give you instructions on how to connect all this into your bike. And then you go ride your bike. So you are now gathering and collecting data for your exact specific bike, and you ride it however you do. Run the fuel that you do, ride it in the altitudes. You can set it up and configure it however you would in normal ride mode, and then go out and ride that bike. The more you ride it, the more data you collect, the more accurate we can refine and update your map settings and your firmware settings. And so then once you've completed those ride cycles, as many as you like, you'll take all this equipment off. So you'll send us back this bracket, your ECU, and then the header. You'll put your stock header back on. So those 3 things, ECU, the bracket, and then the header with the O2 sensor. You'll send all of that back to us. We'll do that analyzing of the data, update your maps and firmware. Again, specific and unique to just your bike. That's going to capture that last little bit. So now we're able to optimize 100% efficiency and performance to your very bike. And then what we'll send back is the ECU reprogrammed and updated and modified after that data analyzation, and you'll put that back on your bike. And now you have essentially a fully custom to you, just you and your riding style and your bike, that map back to you. And this is a loan program that we're working out that we'll offer, and look for that sometime soon. There's a lot that goes into this, and so it's taken quite a while to develop, and we still have a little bit more to do, but that gives you a vision of what we're working on. And then that will be for all the KTM bikes. So this will be for any of the KTM dirt bikes, 250 all the way up to 501. That's Husky gas KTM. We'll be able to offer that on the single cylinder dirt bikes. And then we'll do the same exact thing with the Honda. This right here happens to be one of the loaner headers. This is what we would send you. So with the Honda, because there's a little more to it in terms of how many exhaust options there are more. We have lots of the different options, and we'll have the O2 bung already, like this one here, already on it, and we will send you that and a same kit. You'll have on the Honda, you'll take your headlight off, and you'll have a bracket configuration, and you'll mount that and make sure your headlight's turned on, and that's how it'll be powered. If your bike doesn't have a headlight, and there are a lot of those out there, then you will just connect to the battery with a quick connect, and then you'll have a little toggle switch on your handlebars, and so you'll just turn your bike on. You'll power the unit and then start your bike, and it'll start collecting data. And so you'll just remember to turn that switch on and off as you do your ride cycles. So that gives you a little bit of an insight into how the sausage gets made at Taco Moto, and how we develop our maps and how we configure them, and some of the links that we go to. You can see this is time consuming. I spent hours and hours and hours out here in the desert doing these test rides and setting all this up. And this is what continues to push us to the front of the field for ECU, rideability, engine management devices in partnership with GET, Athena GET. Those guys are fantastic. We've been to their facility. They've been to our facility in Las Vegas, and we just continue to see success with them. And if you've been following Athena GET, you know that Honda swept the Supercross in 2023, both 250 classes and the 450, all running GET ECU. This is the same technology. Everything you see on this bike right here is equipment that Athena and Honda, American Honda, have been using to have all their success. So you can put Supercross technology on your bike, and we're happy to do it and happy to partner with them. And so if you have any questions about any of this, please contact us. This is right now, it's early July. I think it's 4th of July today. Today is the 4th of July. I'm out here in the morning. I was here before the sun came up, and I'll be heading home pretty soon. And so it's 4th of July today, 2023. And so that's the current state of the situation here. Later on in the summer, this will be a little bit old news, because some of this will be available on our site. The data system will be shipping, and you'll be able to take advantage of this on your own bike from Taco Moto. So like, subscribe, go out, get some adventure.